All right, so Wetbox's product, is it a value? Is it overpriced sort of thing? Every once in a while we'll get a comment that someone thinks it's pricey. They certainly aren't inexpensive. The question is whether it's a value and how does it compare to other things. You can look at the feedback we're going to just let run here behind us. Many of our customers speak to other brands, how ours compare. Ours often replaces theirs. But they specifically, many of them speak about value, price, worth the money, that sort of stuff. So you're welcome to review that. You know, at the end of the day, if we buy audio products, it's a physics-based game, and we're buying for function. So the fact that one enclosure fits behind a seat and another one does not mean they're even in the same universe of what they actually accomplish. We have a unique, one-of-a-kind manufacturing process that's never been done. It allows us to get shapes, volumes of airspace, and performance that's never been achieved. I come from the background of every other method: fiberglass, injection molding, blow molding. This is something completely different. And if you look at piece versus piece, part versus part, you will see that we have multiple advantages over anything else out there. Here's an example. Something for the KRX. You have, a single shallow woofer 10 in 0.93 square foot of airspace. It's not a full range sub, it's a shallow sub. It's a good sub. But then you've got to kind of look at what it's accomplishing. If you compare it to the option we have for the same position, you're looking at not a single 10 shallow, but two 12s, full range subs, full airspace subs, and in fact we even offer them in the LS7T, which are the squares. These things do dramatically different things. The airspace on this enclosure is nearly two and a half times the airspace, and the material, the amount of raw goods used to make it, it's gigantic in comparison. So these things are two totally different monsters. Yet the price is only like $300-400 apart. So we offer that, where is the value and who is overpriced? Because if you look at what it does, its size, its function, we would offer that we certainly are the ones that are underpriced, and for what you get there, it's overpriced. When an item is, 3 times the size, it's made out of a much more expensive material than is bed lined, you simply can't expect it to be the same price as something that's coming off a line in China. This stuff is very different. It's handmade in the US. It's not, coming off a line ABS blow mold stuff. I mean, these things are internally supported. No ABS structure is done that way. There's just, reason after reason I can explain that they're dramatically different. Here's another example. If you look at the MB Cord option for the Honda Talon, it's an 8-inch sub. I mean, it basically is a box. Very, very small. I don't know what the airspace on that thing is, 0.4, 0.35, something like that. If you look here at our option for the very same position with my son here, you can see dramatically different. I mean, this thing's 5 times the size. So not only are you not playing around with a baby 8-inch in an open air application of a side-by-side, which an 8-inch in open air is pretty much worthless, you have a 12, and you have a 12 backed by these dramatic shapes in airspace being captured at every turn in every way possible. So these two things are not even in the same hemisphere of what they accomplish in the same position in the same car. You can look at the same thing here when it comes to kick pods. You've got these tiny 6.5s, virtually no airspace behind them. I mean, the magnet looks like they barely clear. That's a 6.5 in the same position. If you look over here on the Talon, you've got an 8-inch with vastly more airspace and a more rigid enclosure, and you're looking at an 8-inch versus a 6.5. That's twice the surface speaker area. So if you look at the price, the Talon, these pods are $449, ours are $749. So, we think without a question ours is by far the better value. Because at the end of the day, it's not about a speaker going in that position, it's what can that speaker do. And you'll see in our customer reviews, for example, this MB Cord 8-inch sub was rated as a 1 out of 10, and of course ours being a 10. So if it doesn't do the job, if it doesn't produce the bass, it's a complete waste. And ultimately, over and over again, customers are taking out these other brands, putting ours in, having spent that money, lost that money, even into full roof systems that are 10, 12,000. People are putting them in, and they're taking them out when they hear the difference. So, there's certainly something to understand there. I go back almost 33 years now. been doing it a very long time, and we design, that way. It then comes down to a lot of these kits are, they're called plug and play. Plug and play is a 4-letter word, in my opinion. Plug and play allows companies, especially off-brand companies that haven't been out for 50 years competing in the open market, to offer amplifiers that have unproven power ratings. Hey, it's a 1,000-watt amp. Anybody knows anything about audio is amps being overrated have been done since the beginning of time. Fosgate has been amazing in that since day one, they've always underrated their stuff. So if you look at like Fosgate amplifier here, one, you need to look at the application. Look how the ceiling of this amplifier, wires in, wires out, the gauge of the wires compares to, this amplifier here. IP67 waterproof rating on the Fosgate, I think IP5 or X5 on the NB here. So night and day difference on what you're getting. In the Fosgate, and that's what's great about Fosgate kits, theirs are made with retail grade components. You get the best amp they make no matter what you buy from them. Other companies, honestly, who knows what you're getting? And well, you do know. If you look here at the wiring, look at the wire that comes along with this plug and play kit. So you're supposed to get the warm and fuzzies that you get to click in something versus doing some quick heat gun work on one. But look at the wire that enters this amplifier. Tiny. This stuff is important. The amount of strands that is in the wire, the type of wire you use. Some of these use aluminum clad wire, garbage wire. So the concept that you're gaining something because it's plug and play is simply not true. The best systems are comprised of retail grade components from companies that have been around for 50 years, where each one of those retail grade components have had to compete in the open market. Companies get away with a whole lot by saying, oh, it's a plug and play kit. So that's what we do different. You get the best of the best in a custom design system like you would at your local stereo shop, but you're able to get it via mail. So it's very different than, say, a company that goes out and spends 300 grand, has parts made in China, and they're just handing over cardboard boxes. These are handmade in the US, they're hand fitted, and you can get us on the phone on a Sunday and we'll talk you through your tuning, answer any questions you have. We'll spend an hour helping someone tune their stereo. Your local stereo shop won't do that. Go buy $5,000 worth of gear from them, go to install it yourself, and then see if that installer will sit on the phone with you for an hour, hour and a half and tune it. They'll tell you it's $150 an hour and tell you to kick bricks, and certainly China's not getting on the phone with you. So with us, you get a friend that's really interested in you having the best product out there. It helps us. We've spent $0 on marketing and have taken over the market on word of mouth. So the more I help you, the more other people hear what we do, the more sales we make. That does make our structure a little different. We don't typically run sales. It's very different to get on the phone with you, hand make product, have my daughter over there helping me with it, than it is to take something that I've imported from China that's in a sealed box and slam it across the table and offer 10% on it. I mean, we have to hand package these full systems. That in itself takes time. So it's a little different. It's kind of a hybrid of the best of the top of the line audio shop that you might have down the street, coupled with unique and new manufacturing procedures. And I'm very competitive in this stuff. I'm here to make the best for my customers, period. I should also mention here kind of what our systems do. If you decide to get a full system, how is it compared to what you've seen out there? Here's an example of a competition that we were kind of talked into doing. We normally avoid competitions because they're not really fair for us. We are pitted up against one-off builds, amazing builds, some of them reported to be over $100,000, but they do something very different. These vehicles have been converted away from, high-speed, high-handling, off-road machines. They've been turned into, what they're trying to make the loudest system out there. Whereas ours, if you look, is very, underwhelming when you look at it. It's a two-seater. We have full, empty, open bed. And we improve the center of gravity in the vehicle by adding weight low instead of like roof systems where it's up high and increase potential tip over. So two very different things. The other thing that's not taken in consideration is when you sit in our front seats, you have sound coming from lower doors, front kick pods, dash, and behind you that puts you in a bubble of balanced sound, whereas a roof, 4 inches from your face, you're typically getting blurred out by one speaker. Two totally different things. With ours, of course, you can also open the doors, direct and project sound out if you're camping and cooking at the camp, or if you kind of really want to do it up. We have these pods that we use. They're 3/4 of a mile of projection. They're crazy in themselves. So yeah, we typically try to avoid these systems, these competitions, because our system is designed to be beautifully balanced in sound. It's not, paper speakers that sound shrill. I know you've heard those if you've been out on the trail. It's just a nightmare on the ears, or just loud for the sake of horns. This is balanced audio that's beautiful. Yet we're still hitting 130 dB, which the irony is a lot of the speakers and stereos that you think are loud are actually not loud, or should I say louder. It's just hard on the ears, so you perceive them to be loud. Whereas you get 130 dB of clear balanced sound like you have here, and now you start getting called a concert. It's a whole different thing. So yeah, we're pretty proud of what this two-seater did, but thought we should give you a comparison of how it competes up against these builds, up against $20,000 roof systems. It just can't be beat. When you take all the individual positions and parts and make a complete system, it's gonna beat anything out there, and we'll welcome any challenger that wants to have a fair competition. So yeah, I would love to have you check out our stuff, but appreciate you checking this out, and hopefully this brings some light to what we do, and if we can answer any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.